Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. We're in Jersey City at St. Peter's University, interviewing some fascinating people at a very important conference. It is the annual Reentry Conference. It's actually called the Road to Salvation from Addiction to Employment. We've interviewed the First Lady, Lieutenant Governor, former Governor McGreevey, who heads up the Reentry Corporation. Two gentlemen you're about to see on camera, a big part of this event. First, I want to introduce to my far right, Michael K. Williams. He's an actor, The Wire, one of my favorites, Boardwalk Empire. We're talking about his other work. And also your nephew, Dominic Dupont, program director at Making Kids Win, which is?
Our non-for-profit. So Making Kids Win is an organization that Michael started, and I had the honor to partner and work with him for the sole purpose of making sure that we work with young people who have had criminal justice involvement and give them a space to channel their trauma through our programs. And the idea, the concept, the core concept of our organization is that we would find effective ways to make sure that young people have ways and people to connect with, to provide programs to. Our belief solely is that good programming is good security. For the community and for that individual specifically.
Michael, let me ask you this. You're an active participant in this conference. Because?
Well, mainly because of my past with addiction. You know, that is how Governor McGrady and I, we met at it was a local treatment center right here in Newark. We had met.
Why were you, okay, you met Governor McGreevey while you were in treatment?
No, while I was staying in Newark. There was a point in my life where Newark, the streets of Newark took care of me.
How so? Were you doing The Wire?
Yeah, I was during The Wire, and I was struggling within my addiction, and while I was working, and I needed safekeeping, to say the least, and I found that refuge on the streets of Newark with a family right there on Isabella Avenue, South Orange and 18th. We're talking smack dead.
In the South Ward of Newark.
Yeah, I never felt safer. And it was during that time, these 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I stayed on Newark, right there in the streets. While I was filming The Wire, I lived a large chunk of that. I lived right in Newark. Yes, sir. While I was filming there, I met my brother and mentor and pastor, the late, great Dr. Reverend Ronald B. Christian.
Oh, Ron Christian. Yeah. What a extraordinary man who made a difference in the lives of so many.
And mine included. It was, we're talking about, I'm a man now, my 30s, and I didn't become a man until I landed on the streets of Newark, because it was through these streets that I had my relationship with God through the Reverend Ronald B. Christian and Christian Love Baptist Church. It was from those relationships that Reverend and I built together that led me to Governor McGreevey and the work he started on my path to doing, started here in the streets of Newark.
Let's talk about this. As I said, this is the annual Reentry Conference. We're at St. Peter's University in Jersey City. Jersey City and Newark, in fact, two of the biggest cities in this state. But this is a national phenomenon, a societal issue. And you, Dominic, you're not just Michael's nephew and doing important work right now, but your experience, your background. At 19 years of age, convicted of a very serious crime, a murder.
Yes, sir.
Spent how many years incarcerated?
20 years, 7 months, and 18 days.
It sounds like such a cliche. Need to ask you, the impact that had and has had on you, your life, and your view of life today is?
So I think it's had a huge impact. I spent some of my teens in prison, all of my 20s, all of my 30s, and started my 40s prior to being given the privilege of executive clemency from the governor of the state of New York. And the word clemency, which a lot of people don't really know what that root word means, is mercy. So my life was impacted in a really huge way by being extended mercy. Incarceration has had a huge impact on my life and on the lives of people that I care about that are really close to me. And that was the catalyst to me doing the work that I've done in prison, and that work has transcended from prison into the community.
Excuse me, I want to be clear. That clemency, in large part, came because of your work in prison, because of the impact you were having on others who were in prison.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
I need to ask you, why did you do that? Why did you feel the need to help others?
Thank you. That's a really great question. So
As opposed to, I'll get out when I get out, because then I had a 25-year hit on that.
Well, the minimum was 25 years.
Could have been, okay,
the
I'm sorry.
maximum part of my sentence was life. So I could have never, ever been released had the parole board and the governor deemed that I had not been not only fit to be released, but fit to be released early.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you make a difference for others?
So I think it was important for me to understand that reentry was a process. And that process started the moment that the handcuffs went on. And that I didn't have to wait to be free to start that work. I was in a place where people needed assistance with their trauma and with challenges and the different things that they had experienced that had led to some of the bad decisions that they have made that had led them to prison. And a lot of those things are huge social issues that we're having conversations about that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, such as poverty, such as unemployment, such as racism,
institutional racism,
absolutely, such as class,
such as health.
Jump in, Michael.
One of the first programs he started, I remember when I started hearing him with this dialogue, it was foreign to me. I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing there?" He said, "Oh, I'm mentoring the young men that's coming in here that have HIV." And I was like, "Huh?" I couldn't.
What did that mean to you?
I never done time, so I never knew. All I knew was what people would tell me when they would come home, and you hear the horror stories. So I'm thinking, my little nephew is in there with this dark, and he's. I go see him, and I would lead the visit. I would be crying, and he would be like.
Why were you crying?
Because I couldn't take. There's a picture in Raising the System, when I go to his cell, excuse me, and he pulls up a picture of me, him, and another man in the picture. He was 15 years old. I used to take him on the road. They had special ID to take him up north, right, to go visit our cousin who was then in prison for the same thing. And then 3 years later, thinking like, okay, we can go visit our family because we don't abandon our family, and I can also show my nephew this is what you don't want, right? And 3 years later, that's exactly what happened for the same circumstance.
Circumstance, right.
So
while on break from Bible college.
Okay, so this is this was
19
my nephew.
yees of age. On break from Bible
college. Didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't sell drugs, didn't do drugs. We're talking. This is my nephew. So him going into this situation that I only heard about and I only heard bad about, it was very traumatizing. And then, but the other side of that is, as time went on, and I would talk to him, go to visit him, he had this glow about him. I didn't really get. Mm-hmm. But he started, I would say within 5 years of him being there, I remember him mentioning this conversation about him mentoring or working with people coming in the prison that had HIV and AIDS issues, like health issues. He would help and I didn't know what that looked like, what it sounded like. It was just foreign.
But what's so interesting? That had an impact on you, and clearly had an impact on you, and ultimately over time had an impact on the governor and others who granted that clemency. By the way, if you're just tuning in, I want to give a reintroduction. We're speaking with, on my far right, Michael K. Williams, an actor who you recognize from The Wire, from Boardwalk Empire, from so many other. He's just an extraordinary artist who cares deeply about the issues that are being explored here at this conference, the annual Reentry Conference, from the road to salvation from addiction to employment, and also his nephew, Dominic Dupont, who's a program director at a terrific program called Making Kids Win. Let's do this. This whole Making Kids Win, you started it.
Yes, sir.
What year, do you remember?
It was during the Wire years, I'll tell you that much.
Hold on, during the Wire years, when you were dealing with your addiction issues on the streets of Newark, you started a program?
Yeah, while I was dealing with my addiction issues on the streets of Newark and filming The Wire on the streets of Baltimore, I was the Professor Charles Ogletree from Harvard University.
The great Charles Ogletree.
The great Charles.
Our fans on PBS remember him. He used to do a series of roundtable discussions on the Constitution and law. Check him out. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, please. And so he had started the first, at least my knowledge, the first Wire 101 class at his law department department at Harvard. So I guess at the end of that first semester, he had wanted to reward the class with a visit from the cast of The Wire. So he assembled, and he just bring us and meet and greet, whatever.
So you're up at Harvard.
Yeah. Only
They haven't invited me yet, but go ahead.
They didn't realize they invited the sickest puppies in the bunch. Sonia Song, Wendell Pierce, Andre Royo, Jamie Hector, myself, Donnie Andrews, God bless his soul, who the character Omar was really based on, right? We went up there, and the first thing we said was, if you're here to talk about Hollywood, you got the wrong crew. We all got very personal issues with our own personal relationships to The Wire, to the stories that the people that these stories are being told about, and we want to talk about the change that needs to be done. So there'll be no more television shows like The Wire. That's how we went in on that, and needless to say, that turned into a relationship with us and Harvard, and over the space of about 2 to 3 years, several symposiums, what I believe they call them, and Ogletree took me under his wing, and throughout these years, he'd always pull me aside and say, Mike, so when you're gonna start your nonprofit? And I was like, no, Tree, you must be talking about Jamie. I know we're both dark skinned, he has a scar too, but he's doing Moving Mountains. That's wrong guy. So he said, no, Mike, I'm talking about you. And he kept nudging that over the space of these 2 to 3 years, where I broke down in tears one day at Harvard, and I said, the reason why I don't want to do this is because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it. I don't have what it takes. I don't have the education.
You didn't have the confidence?
No.
Despite your stardom, despite the fact that you had so many fans, me just being one of millions, that didn't do anything for your sense of self?
I didn't think I had a voice. I didn't think my voice mattered at that point, still at that point in my life. Where we come from, I didn't think my voice mattered. Who's gonna wanna support me in an organization that I wanna help my community?
Who's gonna give you money?
Who's gonna believe me or give me money? And you know what they said to me? Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that for you. All you gotta do is bring what you already have, passion.
That's right.
And
that's how it started?
And Professor Ogletree put these young ladies, his students, around me, and they put all the nuts and bolts together, and they registered, but it didn't become, I didn't do anything with that. That's what I'm on record until he came home.
Let me ask you, Dominic. So you come out. Tell everyone when you got out.
So I got released January 22nd, 2018.
You come out. You know what your uncle's been doing. You know his stardom. You also know his struggle to the degree you can. Absolutely. Right? What do you think you owe at that point to him and to so many others who are struggling?
Yeah, so at that point, I really had a desire to make sure that I continue the work that I was doing in the prison. For me, it was work that was really relevant, it was really important, and I wanted to find a way to make sure that I could still tap into what the community needed. So I left the prison community and came into the community as a whole, and I was like, look, Michael, and there's a part in the documentary where we speak about that, and
he's even a polite version of, can I keep it real with you?
Keep it real.
This dude is a pit bull. He sat me down in a visit one day.
This your nephew?
This is my nephew. This is before he knew he was going to be, it was no knowledge of the clemency, but he spoke it, right? We in a visit one day. There's no cameras, right? He's like, listen, we need to insulate you.
Insulate.
Yes, that's the word he used, bro. He says, we need to put we gotta like insulate you. That's the word he kept using, and I knew in my heart what that meant.
What
right?
does it mean for the rest of us?
It means I need to be more careful around the people I keep around me. I need a stronger team around me, more efficient people, and more thinkers. People that will tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear, right?
No, not talking about people just to hang with.
No.
To...
Because he saw the vision in a sense, maybe not really saw it, but he saw it, right? And when me and him started this dialogue, I would say the last year and a half of his incarceration, he brought this in a visit. It called me to the visit and said, that was the topic, we're going to insulate you, is the term that he used, right? It was during the last 2 years of us figuring out how that looked, I got this vision. I said, this is starting to make sense now. I think that whatever platform that was given to me in entertainment is not random, that these characters, if you look at all the characters that I played, they tell a narrative in a sense, right? That's not coincidental, right? I believe that was laying foundation for when this man came home for him to step onto that platform to do the real work. Like, he's the real star. I'm here with him, right?
You're a team. Let me try this. For those of us who were pretty protected growing up and insulated, and those who may never have been in a city growing up, explain, and it doesn't, not only a city, explain to folks the kinds of challenges and struggles the young men and young women we are talking about who often wind up incarcerated, who this conference is all about, to try to get them to reenter society, complicated by drug addiction. Loaded question, I know. Talk to us.
Can I really
Sure.
First of all, our narrative needs to change in regards to our community, right? We're talking about the community we're talking about. We talk about programming. First of all, it's not brain surgery. There's no resources. These are young adolescent minds. Just like it's not. We need to change the question of why are you acting like that? Like, what can we do to prevent this?
What's the right question?
So we're looking, what can we do to prevent this?
That's the question we should be asking.
Yes.
Not why did you do it?
Exactly. So we talk about the neighborhoods that are insulated. You know why they're insulated? What they're insulated with? Normal activity, programs, outlets for their children to go and exercise.
Resources.
And resources. Long story short, so we talk about this for my community. I'm changing the narrative. I'm not asking for anything great. This is it's like, can you please put it here? What's taking you so long? Why is this not here for my young people, my children? There's nothing for them to do.
But part of it is you're changing it yourselves. You're changing the narrative yourselves with the work you're doing. Fair to say?
Well, we don't have an option to do anything else.
What do you mean? Got about a minute left. Go ahead.
What I mean is that we as a community, we are losing generations and generations of young people. We are charged with a responsibility.
To incarceration, to addiction, and to death.
Absolutely.
Trauma, too.
And
mental
trauma.
illness.
And this idea that some kids are fighting for a second chance that come from our communities, the real issue is that a lot of our kids are just fighting for a first. And that concerns me. We are the land of the free. Why is poverty not a crime? Why are our young people, why is this happening? Why are we allowing this to happen? And our goal is to make sure that we find effective ways to make sure that we prevent losing another generation.
Gentlemen, you honor us by taking this much time to be with us, to talk with us, to share with us, to offer a piece of your very powerful and compelling stories at this annual conference, the Reentry Conference, the road to salvation from addiction to employment, to Michael K. Williams, the actor who Chalky White is a character, but Chalky White and Boardwalk Empire would never have been that character if not for you and your colleagues, and also The Wire. Your work there speaks for itself. And Dominic Dupont, you've just been out for a relatively short period of time, the program director at Making Kids Win, but we know you're going to continue making a difference every day. So you honor us by being with us. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. We're honored. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, RWJ Barnabas Health, Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University, the law firm of Gibbons PC, New Jersey Sharing Network, Valley Bank, and by Johnson & Johnson. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.